Yo, what's up, everybody? It is National Signing Day, and it's House Divided on National Signing Day. I'm Jeff. He's Chad. It's Orange Bloods Live. Thanks for joining us on National Signing Day. Like, comment, subscribe to the page. Jump into the specs chat. Get involved like Texas Sailor 76. Maybe send a super chat. Texas Sunrise Outdoors. It's like a $5 handle. So is Anthony Audrey B. Fuente. That's a mouthful. This day has already been a mouthful. So Chad, let's just jump into this and set the stage for where we are today, because there's been some people on Orange Bloods have been panicking like little girls. And I actually feel bad. All the little girls out there, I'm sorry. I apologize for slandering your entire status in connection with some of the people on Orange Bloods today who were like, fire! So just recently, we're waiting on Zealous Hicks. It looks like that thing's going to get firmed up. But
Okay.
if my math is correct, we're at a point where, as it relates to the Texas commitments coming into today, Texas started with 23. 22 of the 23 have signed their letters of intent, are officially in. We're waiting on Zealous Hicks. That might be announced in the next 5 seconds.
Okay.
Michael Terry, officially a Longhorn. And we just got the message from Cody Carpentier and Jason that Zealous Hicks has officially signed with Texas.
All right.
So
I'll update the crawl. Go
there
ahead.
had been panic in the streets because it hadn't happened yet. But Zealous Hicks, the former 2026 safety who reclassified, committed to Texas in September, he's officially done. So Texas is 23 for 23 today on commitments that they came into the day with. They didn't get Kevin Wiley, the linebacker, and 3-star guy. I just don't sense that he was a major priority. I talked about on our National Signing Day show earlier in the morning that I just don't think that of all the things they were sweating, that's the thing they were sweating. Yesterday, we hyped up that the Longhorns are going for the big, massive Ocean's 11 heist. And nothing connected to that has happened yet. The attempted Ocean's 11 heist would be flipping Cade Phillips, which they did, from LSU. That was step one. Step two, flip Michael Fasusi from Oklahoma. Step three, get Justice Terry out of Georgia, away from Georgia. That's the heist. They flipped Phillips yesterday. They're 1 for 1, or I guess 1 of 3, depending on however you want to look at it. Fasusi is supposed to announce his decision at 2. There is speculation behind the scenes that he might delay that. There is still speculation on both the Oklahoma and Texas sides that there is reason for confidence. I believe that Texas has made an enormous offer for Michael Fasusi. I also believe, and really can take it to the bank, no pun intended, that they've made an enormous offer for Justice Terry. If you're coming to the show today and you're like, what the hell, Catch? You said there was going to be Ocean's 11 and his Sark was Danny Ocean and you're such a jackass. And nothing's happened, guys. Nothing's happened. Is disappointment possible? Yeah, man. Michael Fasusi might announce in a couple of hours that he's going to Oklahoma. It wouldn't shock anybody. But as relates to everything that we talked about yesterday, nothing's happened other than they did flip Cade Phillips. They did get Michael Terry. And interesting enough, Michael Terry, I think, was so thought to be in the bag that he wasn't even listed among the big priority 3 coming into today. Yesterday, Cade Phillips, Justice Terry, Michael Fasusi. If they get those trio, they're going to have the number 1 recruiting class in the country, and it will be an Ocean's 11 heist. If they miss on either of those guys or both, then, the guys in Ocean's 11 went to jail. They got caught. They're going for the heist. Sometimes Danny Ocean does a stint in jail. It happens multiple times with Danny Ocean. So that's kind of where we are. Justice Terry's announcing on Friday. And I think nationally there's a bunch of stuff going on, but the Texas focus is on, Chad, this primary three, this priority three. That's the word that's been used when discussing things with my sourcing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Like what I wouldn't do as a Texas fan today is freak out. It might end up being the number one recruiting class in the country. At worst, it's in the top group. I think it's number 4 right now in the Rivals rankings. I can't make these kids commit when you want them to. I can't make them sign when you want them to. I can't, like, all the stuff I can't control. But nothing has happened today that should make a Texas fan nervous or upset or on edge. Get a hold of yourselves. Get a hold of yourselves.
By the way, the number 1 team in the rankings as we sit here right now is Georgia, who took the top spot from Ohio State. Ohio State at 2. It's Oregon at 3 and Texas at 4 at this moment. By the way, catch 7 of the top 10 SEC. The other 3 are Big Ten. No shock there either. But we will continue to obviously watch all of this stuff. So at the moment, as you see on the crawl on the bottom, we've got them all listed out for you, up to 24 guys that have signed today for Texas. And then there's Fasusi. It's scheduled to be 2 o'clock. He told us it was 2 o'clock. So we're going to do a live show at 2. Now, it might be like a minute long to say, hey, Fasusi's not going today. Bye. Or it's reacting to whatever Fasusi does. But we will have a show for you. We'll jump off of here in the 1 o'clock hour somewhere, but we'll get right back on at 2 with the Michael Fasusi announcement. We hit it at the same time, I think. Thank you, Lane. $50 super chat. This is what winning looks like. Stop being a Millie. A Millie?
I think that's like code word for little girl. And again, I feel bad because the little girls of the world out there are getting associated with people who can't stop pissing their pants. And you know what? Little girls don't piss their pants anymore. Just adult men who can't.
I know plenty of tough little girls throughout my life. So it's not necessarily a little girl thing, but you're saying they're getting a little overly emotional today.
Well, the worst thing that if you think about, what has happened in the last 24 hours that would make Texas fans uneasy? Well, Myron Charles, the defensive tackle, as late as last night, was teasing Sukamel, not telling him who he would sign with today. You'll have to wait and see.
Lane, I'm just going to leave it up till we get another one. It's
fair enough.
So pretty.
Then there was discussion today, and we had heard it. Like, we were doing the earlier National Signing Day show, and Jason was in real time. Like, look, I'm getting messages from USC sources that believe they're going to flip defensive tackle Josiah Sharma, and that he had gone to USC on Sunday, and there was even a little buzz on the Texas side, like that. I reached out to one source and was like, Josiah Sharma, what's up? And the basic response I got was, justice, 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 justice. Don't bother me with anything that's either not Fasusi or justice. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And in the end, here's what I think happened. I think if I had to guess, I think Josiah Sharma and his representation played a little game of chicken. I think they've got whatever they were going to get from Texas. I think they approached Texas and said, USC just raised the number. And I think Texas was like, cool. What are you going to do? And it was like, you're not going to match the number? Really? You're not going to match the number? No, we're good. We like our offer. It is the offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the agency I think they went, okay.
Okay.
You caught us.
You got us. Hook 'em horn.
Can't blame us for trying.
We tried. We love you. Hook 'em. That's
look, if I had an agent, if Chad's agent was talking to me and he was trying to squeeze an extra $100,000 or so out of, I don't think Chad would be like, no, don't try. I'm good. That's not how it works. Why have representation if it's like, let's just take what they said last week because I like them. So I think Sharma ends up signing with Texas. That happens in the last 30 minutes. French is one of the first guys off the board this morning in signing with the Longhorns. All the East Coast guys were in except for Zealous Hicks.
And they went early, Catch. It wasn't just like the 7 a.m. our time early. It was like 6 o'clock
7 a.m. their time.
Right, 7 a.m. their time. They're like, I'm getting up, let's go. So like 6:15 was, I think, the first time maybe the words coming in. That's early.
So look, I'll let you tell me where you want to start. I think the Michael Terry news has been a bit overshadowed. He's a super blue chip. Yeah. One service has him rated as a 5-star. Like, that's a big deal. And I think the urge and need to have all of this done by noon is coming from Texas fans that just don't understand what's happening.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing. As far as where to start, basic question from somebody you can clarify real quick. Scott says, how and why is Justice not announcing until Friday if today is the deadline? Oh, Scott. Go ahead, Catch. Fairly simple answer to that question.
Well, it's not a deadline. And in fact, Justice Terry has no deadlines. If Justice Terry never wants to sign a letter of intent, if he wanted to carry this on through the spring and let me see how desperate teams are after spring football. He's in a position to do anything he wants to. Justice Terry can announce on Friday because that's what he can do. And it's not like you have today only to sign your letter of intent. Why is he waiting till Friday? Because his representation, I think, is smart. Let the dust clear. You got Georgia and Texas duking it out NIL style for your services. Hey, Ohio State had a 5-star get flipped over to Oregon today. Maybe they got $1 million all of a sudden. I think if you're Justice Terry and his parents and his representation, I think the thought process is, outside of quarterback, what's the most valuable position in college football and recruiting? Might be defensive tackle. They hit at as high of a rate as any position. When you find the 5-star D tackles, they typically, at worst, are NFL players. It's 50% he's going to be a first-round draft pick, 20% or 30% he'll get drafted, 20% he gets hurt or something like that happens. So this guy's worth his weight in gold. And I'm pretty sure that Texas has already put in front of him the richest NIL contract that is ever offered anybody. They've gone, I think, my sourcing hasn't specifically said it, but I can add 2 + 2 and get 4. They are going places from an offer standpoint that are well beyond anything they've ever done before. And if you're Justice Terry, I think why not wait a couple more days? The offers aren't coming down. Texas is not going to say either tell us by Wednesday or our offer goes down $400,000. It's not how this works.
No. Scott, thank you for that one. I can answer this one real quick too for Big Cheddar, and we'll get to Texas. How are the Aggie and Sooner classes shaping up? Big Cheddar, as I look at the team rankings right now from Rivals, Aggies back into the top 10. Names like Lamont Rogers, Kelshawn Johnson. Who's the other one? Oh, and DJ Sanders that you might know. They
flipped the number 32 player in the country today.
And that was remind me the position.
Wide receiver Jerome Miles.
Out of Utah, right?
Yes.
There you go. So that was big for the Aggies. Sooners back into the top 20. They're around 17 or 18 in.
And I say flip, that kid decommitted from USC on December 1st.
Okay.
And
so
yes.
Yeah. Well, that's a flip. That's within 3 days. I mean, yeah, we'll call that a flip, I guess. The flip and wait, the wait and flip, either way. All right.
Big hit for A&M though. I mean, and I love, that's the thing that we talk about. I also give Mike Elko credit on that one. That is, look, if we were going back 20 years ago to RC or Francione or even as recent, maybe you wouldn't say it so much about a guy like Sumlin. He tried to go national, and same thing with Jimbo. But A&M A&M recruiting in the state of Utah is a bit unorthodox for like what we would think about where A&M gets its talent. I was really impressed that Elko, with the season that they had, which in the end, they're not even ranked this week, that he was able to get a guy coveted by the entire country. 6'3", he's a big boy. 6'3", 220 pounds. This was a guy Ohio State offered, LSU offered, all the schools that do badass wide receivers offered, although I don't think Texas offered. But hey, that's that. You know what? I'm telling you, Texas and Texas A&M have not butted heads in recruiting nearly as much as you would think they have.
That is an interesting fact. It is interesting that they're kind of that they've been that separate. But again, pretty good day for the Aggies. Really good day for the Longhorns. We'll get some more Catch's thoughts on the class itself. If you jump in, we're up over 1,200 folks in the Specs chat. Remember to like on your way in. If you didn't, remember to like on your way out, subscribe, get your notifications. The Fasusi show is coming up at 2. You'll get the notification on those kind of things that are a little off schedule when you do that. Also, thanks to our great partners around here, not only Specs, but I'll hit you with sinus and snoring specialists real quick, and then we'll get Catch to talk about some pass catchers. You're breathing easy today, Texas fans, because of a great class. But how you breathing overall? It's a weird time of year. It's dry outside, then it's wet outside. It's hot outside, then it's cold outside. And this time of year used to just mess with my allergies. Now I don't worry about it because this is the place. They got rid of my allergies for good, fixed the sleep apnea and snoring issues. Sinus and snoring specialists. They are the best. 512-601-0303 or hit them up at sinussnoringent.com. Sinus and snoring specialists. They say it and it's true. Feel clear, rested, and healthy. A very healthy class for Texas. As we said, even though it slips, air quotes, slips to number 4 in the country for now, Texas is still looking at a great group. And as Catch is talking about, and we will continue to talk about, the Fasusi thing is out there. The Justice Terry thing is out there. And as of, 2 seconds ago, another super chat is out there from Dirkley, $4.99. What do you think Texas D-line draft stock is like this year?
Alfred Collins is a day 2 guy. Vernon Broughton's probably a 3rd or 4th round guy. And that's it. Sorrell's probably a day 3 guy. Although I could see Sorrell sneaking into a round 3. I think you start getting into that round and there's like 100 guys that can go in that 30, where we always think of the first round as like there's 25 really first round picks. They may take 32, but there's 25 that are first round picks. You get to that part of the draft and there's probably like 100 guys that could go in that range. And I think he's probably in that pool of guys.
All right, Catch, let's kind of work our way backwards. I do want to get to I want to get you to talk Michael Terry and talk pass catchers, but let's kind of go backwards chronologically because Josiah Sharma happens like as we're getting ready to come in. And I think maybe his name will get lost in the Justice Terry discussion, Michael Fasusi, and obviously, like you said, those are the biggest fish that they're looking at. Just give me a comment real quick on Josiah Sharma. Now that he picks Texas and maybe it was – USC was throwing something crazy out there, but ultimately he ends up with Texas. I'm sure there'll be some NIL that comes along with it. But real quick on Sharma, how big do you think that could end up being for Texas?
Well, they like their big players. And if you look at Sharma, he's the most SEC defensive lineman in the country this year. That if you're just looking for the guy that you go, hey, if we want to get a Tavondre Sweat type guy that is 360 pounds and at some point and still athletic and a difference maker, he's probably the guy that profiles like that the most. So they want SEC athletes. He's the most SEC defensive tackle, I think, in the country this year. He's really good. I don't think he's a sure thing. He's not a guy that I would even think of to say he's a sure thing. But if he hits, he's what they want their guys to be. It's just, it will probably take him a few seasons to get there. And one of the things, if possible, that that Texas needs, because they're losing 5, they've got to find a way to get some immediate contributors. Now, I'm told they're going to go probably get 3 guys in the portal no matter what at the defensive tackle position, similar to what they did a year ago. Don't ask me the names. I don't know. I'm just telling you they plan to be very aggressive in the portal at the defensive tackle position. And then they want to get they want Justice Terry. Like that's where we are.
Yeah.
Everything else is, I'm just not convinced that anybody else they've signed, whether it's Myron Charles or Sharma, or if you had included a guy like Mbachu, I don't know that these guys are immediate impact guys, and that's what they need. So the fact that Justice Terry is in high school, he would give you 3 years in theory if you sign him. They view him as a guy that potentially starts next year. And I don't think they think that about the other guys.
Gotcha. And for the record, JD Hack, I don't think Texas is in on Fusasi. We'll double check for you. I do believe that they're looking at Fasusi. I think Fasusi is on their list. Fusasi, I'm not sure. We'll have to double check the recruiting board on that one. All right. This super chat came in from JR, $9.99. How do you think Kenny Baker's doing as a recruiter? Is he in a lead role with the current class or a secondary role to PK/Sark? How does that work as a coach? Looks like he found Broughton/Collins' 5th gear.
They covet Sharma significantly. He was one of the top guys on their board. Same with Myron Charles. I would say he's done very good in his first year. He hasn't landed a Moby Dick, and that's what Texas is shooting for.
And that's what Terry is.
Justice Terry's Moby Dick.
Yeah,
and I think every position kind of has a Moby Dick. I mean, Michael Fasusi is Moby Dick. There's nobody else in that. They like all their offensive linemen in this class, but none of them are that guy. And if you look at the rest of the recruiting class, kind of position by position, you can find some Moby Dicks. It's like, well, who's Jonah Williams is Moby Dick. Lance Jackson, Moby Dick, right? These are guys that, if you want the metaphor to stick, like it's not only the holy grail from a chase standpoint, but you write books about them. Moby Dick gets a book written about the whale got a book because he was the biggest and the baddest whale. And so that's kind of where we are. The class is going to be really good. As a general rule of thumb, and by the way, just to answer JR's question, he's in the lead role with his guys. Yeah. Now, he gets support from Sark. He gets support from PK. He'll get support from Jeff Banks if they need an extra hand on deck. But, Kenny Baker's got to do his job. And Sharma and Charles are really good signings. They haven't gotten the big guy yet. And so you can't say, oh, he should be National Recruiter of the Year. Can you say, he has nothing to hang his head over? Yeah, I think he can hold his head up high. But, you go look at wide receiver, and it's like, oh, well, there's Jamie French, and there's Dalen McCutcheon, or, they're so deep at wide receiver that Michael Terry doesn't even completely get into the equation. So there are volume at other positions. I think Cade Phillips they might view as a mini Moby Dick at the cornerback position because, again, they were including him in their primary 3. They think he's a 5-star. I think they think he's at least on the level of Kobe Black. And what do we think about Kobe Black? Well, he probably starts next year. That, they lose Jahdae Barron and Malik Muhammad comes back for his 3rd year. And it's like, well, who's next on deck? Kobe Black. I think they look at Cade Phillips and think, he's going to be just like Malik Muhammad and Kobe Black. He's going to come in as a true freshman, and we're going to have him as the 3rd or 4th corner to start the year. And then by the end of the year, you're going to be asking, should he be a starter? And then by his 2nd year, he's an all-conference level kind of guy to talk about. I think they think that's who Cade Phillips is. So there you go.
JR, thank you for that super chat. Let's see.
I did smoke before the show, Chad. So
wow,
I am rambling a bit more so I think than normal.
It is a weird admittance, but we're in a modern age of college football where everything is on the table. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Oh, it's a legal product. Like, I'm not behind the wheel or anything, so like I'm good. I didn't confess to a crime.
Yeah, everything's on top of the table. NIL, baby. $199 from Bates. Fine. What kind of lure does Fasusi want? Hashtag NIL. ATX Bates, we'll find out if Fasusi's a fishing man. If he goes fishing up there in Louisville, and we will let you know.
Can we real quick talk about Fasusi?
Of course.
I think on one corner. Now, look, I think Texas has made Fasusi his biggest NIL offer. And it's possible that Oklahoma will just match it. But Texas is at the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think on Oklahoma's side, I think Oklahoma is kind of his first love. That emotionally, he doesn't regret committing to Oklahoma. That's where his heart wanted him to go.
Mm-hmm.
His boy, his best friend, is going to be a walk-on there. He's already submitted his paperwork. The idea of being able to, that's your first love and
closer to mama.
Well, marginally, but yes.
But yeah, a little bit.
Not enough that I think that impacts the decision at all, but a little bit. If you'd been on the other side of Dallas, advantage Texas. So he's got these, I think the parents, all things considered, probably favor Oklahoma. So Oklahoma's got an emotional case to make. Here's the Texas case. We're Texas. We're getting ready to play for an SEC championship. We're the number 2 team in the country. We're getting ready to go into the playoff for the second consecutive year. Our offensive line coach takes guys like you and turns them into first-round draft picks. That's what he does his entire career. Hell, he got a guy like you at Rutgers, and you know what he did? Turned him into a first-round draft pick. The guy that you're emotionally connected with, do you know how many guys like you he's ever turned into a first-round draft pick? None. Oh, and your new offensive coordinator runs an air raid offense. Is that really what you want to be doing to develop your skill set? Is that the offense? Is that the best place for you to go play football? I think Texas is building look, man, is this business or is this not business? Because if it's business, you're going to Texas. If it's not business and you're just going to do the thing your heart tells you to do, go be Micah Hudson. Knock yourself out. Go be Micah Hudson. Choose the emotional choice with a school that's not quite on the level and a program that's not quite on the level with the business decision, with a coach that's not quite on the level from a business decision as the other guy. And I just think Texas feels like when it's all said and done, this will be a business decision will be made because there are millions of dollars on the line. This guy will view himself as, look, man, if I'm not a first-round draft pick and playing in the NFL day 2 at worst in 3 or 4 years, I made the wrong decision. All of the business stuff points in Texas's favor. All of the emotional stuff is in Oklahoma's favor. Oklahoma thinks they're going to get Michael Fasusi. Texas thinks that kid's not going to make a business decision. And it's why at 2:00, we're all going to be dialed in to see what happens if he even announces at 2:00. This is like the modern day 2025 recruitment.
Yeah. And by that, real quick, no, Tej, no, 2:00 Central.
Yes.
2 Central. So.
This is like the modern day American story. It's maybe I've thought about my entire life going, and I don't even think that's Michael Fasusi with Oklahoma, but clearly he loves Oklahoma. But there might be more money elsewhere. Justice Terry's Justice Terry's from the state of Georgia. But I think Texas has more money on the table NIL-wise than Georgia does. Will Georgia, over the next 2 days, decide, got to have him, we'll go higher? Would Texas go higher? I think that's what Justice Terry and his people are trying to find out. But he's got to make – it may be that the emotional decision for Justice Terry would be Georgia. But it also might be, God damn, have you seen the Texas depth chart at defensive tackle? not only might they pay me the most money, but I could walk in minute one and be a starter.
Yeah, it's big.
They lose everybody.
Yeah, that's huge. By the way, on the super chat front, Jay Lee, if you're out there, you're going through some bad luck. It's not on us. I know you might have had one at the end of the last show that they didn't get. You're telling me there's one at the beginning of this show. I don't see it. Jay, we know your name. Just put in super chat. You don't have to send the actual money if you don't want to again. Just say this was my super chat because I do not see it. So please get it in. We are not.
Chad, he's working the chat, so it's all his fault.
We're not ignoring you, but yes, please blame the Aggie if you'd like. Barb's 10, $5. Any chance for Texas to get to the number one class, or has the ship sailed? Does it matter at this point? Class looks good to me. We got multiple ones here, Cats, that'll get into rankings and class numbers and stuff like that.
I think the thing that matters the most is how many super blue chips can you get? Now, I do think there is a chance to get to number one. In fact, it does need to be said that there are other recruiting services outside of Rivals. I think On3 has Texas right now as the number one recruiting class in the country.
Yeah, as long as you're there. We did have a super chat, $2. Texas has the number one class on 24/7, correct? Says Jay Harv. And then Oscar jumped in with a $4.99 and said, why is Rival so different in the rankings? Texas is 1 in On3 and 24/7, but 4th in Rivals, stealing South End Zone Queen's question, so give her credit. What up, South End Zone Queen?
I think there's a lot of teams right now that are bunched at the top. And look, like for Texas and On3, they currently have Cade Phillips ranked as a 5-star. I think that's right. None of the other services do, but so when it comes to like the value of that commitment, it bumped Texas up more significantly than it did on the Rivals side. But Rivals will update its rankings. Keep in mind, the rankings are not final. Today, there will be a team that at the end of the day is number one in the country, and they're going to get headlines, but there will be another signing period, and the rankings will absolutely be updated after the December and January bowl workouts and postseason stuff. Ask Kelvin Banks.
The number one class in America is officially declared after the February signing day.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So Oscar, I don't think they're that different. I think you've got 3 or 4 schools that are just bunched together. In fact, I'm not sure. I tell you what, I'll go look it up right now. Y'all just bear with me. 24/7. Wait, 24/7 Sports? Yeah, 24/7 Sports. So I'm going there. I think they're the 24/7 Sports composite number one. But I don't think that means they're the number one class by 24/7. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, like, their composite's like an algorithm. No, wait, hold on. What are we looking at here? Okay, 20, 25. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. I don't see where it says either composite or the 20. I'm looking at, it says 24/7 team rankings. So they've got Texas with 306 points. Georgia has 305. Alabama has 301. I don't know how their point system works, but like you can tell, first and second place are separated by 1.50 or 60 points on 24/7. They're just bunched together. And depending on how these guys arrange their rankings, I think everybody basically views super blue chips the same, but from a team ranking standpoint, they'll all be slightly different. Ohio State for 24/7 is 5th in the country. And for most of the recruiting process, Ohio State has been the number one team in the Rivals ranking. So I don't think the number one ranking thing matters a ton. Repeat after me. Super blue chips, super blue chips, super blue chips. Sign as many as you can. My general rule of thumb, and Chad will have heard me say this before because I do my super blue chip rankings. And if you want to be a top 5 team in the country from a overall roster year in and year out, on the average, you need to sign about 6 or 7 guys at a minimum that are super blue chips. So if you hit 6 or 7, you did what you needed to do minimum wise. The goal is to hit double digits. That is when you've had yourself a recruiting class. Texas right now for me is just short of that. They're above 6 or 7, but they haven't hit double digits. But if they were to get Fasusi and Terry, they not only would hit double digits, but they'd arguably hit the number 1 defensive tackle and the number 1 offensive tackle in the country. And so when we're talking about super blue chips, sometimes there are super blue chips, and then there are like super duper blue chips. Those two guys would be the latter. I count the elite players because ultimately the bottom half of these recruiting classes decide who ends up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, every bit as much as the top. Like, what's the bottom of your class? Those guys don't matter. They're not going to hit. 1 or 2 of your bottom 10 guys are going to make it. The other 8 or 9 or 7 or whatever, they're going to transfer. So what matters is the top half of the recruiting class, and you want to get as many elite guys as possible. And it's why today when I'm reaching out to sources and asking about guys that aren't super blue chips, the response I'm getting is, don't ask me about anything other than the super blue chips. Terry, Fasusi, that's it.
Oscar, thank you for that super chat. We did get Jay super chat. We'll get that one in. Also, a super chat rumor. We do love a good super chat rumor. Before that, it ain't no rumor when you've heard about the chicken fried steak at Hayes City Store. That's a fact. It's a damn good chicken fried steak. I've had a few. I can speak on it. The gravy is legendary. Get on out there, have one of those, or one of the great burgers, or one of the great pizzas, a great drink. I love to go out and have a draft beer from around the state of Texas. They always have some really cool beers, something that most of the time I haven't heard of. I love doing that. They got good whiskey drinks. They got frozen margarita flights. Hayes City Store, just a great place to hang out. You'll want to go back over and over again. Out in Driftwood, never be in a hurry. Never be in a hurry going out to Hayes City Store, but have yourself a great time. Tell Travis and Tamara that we said hello here at Orange Bloods Live. All right, Catch, let's throw a rumor out there. This one's for the game on Saturday. How about this one? Trip on 2 wheels, $4.99, just on Twitter. ETN entering the portal, will not play this weekend and wants to go to either Miami, Florida, Clemson, or Texas. Real or crap? Trip, I hadn't seen it till you mentioned it.
And I got to be honest, not on my radar.
Right.
Well, obviously we're doing I got 99 problems right now, and that ain't one. I haven't paid any attention to what's going on. If he were to leave the team, that's not a focal. That could be a focal point as soon as next Monday, but not right now.
Right. Late in the week, we'll be double checking stories like that. But thank you for putting it on our radar. Trip. By the way, 101 in rushing offense for Georgia. The number that jumped out to me the most this week is that. I would not have thought it was that low. So even if ETN is not there, he's not on a running attack that's really not been good at all this year. Kind of hard to believe when it is Georgia. But
I'm looking at it right now. There is speculation about him, but I don't see anything. I don't see anything that would make it official, but that would be significant. He is whatever they are or not. He's a big part of it.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, no, you're right. It would be a big part of that story. So thank you for putting it on our radar there, Trip. All right, here is Jay Lee. Thank you, Jay, for doing extra work. Last show, the super chat that got missed. Catch talking tight ends next year, Nye Black, Washington, etc. All I wanted to know was, is my tight end position hot take starting to grow on you after Helms' season? What is the future of the position? What the future of the position looks like?
Yeah, Jay Lee, I've come around to the idea that Gunnar Helm is Richard from Rogue Shop.
Richard,
you know what I'm doing right now.
Hey, he's got something to tell you.
Hold on.
It's important.
Richard, you know I'm doing House Divided right now, and we're officially on the air.
Richard!
Hold on. Speak to America. Speak to the world.
What's up, guys? I'm sorry for messing your show up, man. I'll hit you back.
Damn. What up, Richard? That's how you know.
That's all I want to know.
2 o'clock. 2 o'clock.
Brother.
All right, man.
He's trying to get the inside info. Let's throw his logo up. As long as he's going to interrupt the show, we'll just throw the logo up. There it is, right there.
Brains
There you go.
Susie.
There's that logo. Hang on one second. They're trying to become here's how you become the most popular shop in the valley. You just bug people a lot, and then they'll throw your stuff up just like that. Just like that. Vote for Rogue Shop, in case you haven't done it yet. Okay. What up, Richard?
So, what were we just talking about?
We were talking about Jay was asking about the tight end position.
Oh, yeah. Look, Gunnerham's been so good this season, Jay, that you're probably right. And I was probably wrong to even think that was a hot take. In retrospect, you were just right.
There you go. All right.
What's the future of the position look like? I think Jordan Washington, they love. Amari Nyblack comes back next year. So I think those two guys will be a big part of what we're talking about. Nick Townsend comes in. He's not going to be here for the spring. Otherwise, I would say that guy, it might have a big role next year, but he's going to have to do it on the fly. Wouldn't shock me if they went into the portal and brought in some depth.
There you go. Jay, thank you. We are glad figured that out. By the way, it was just the last show. I did not miss one this show, so I was happy to see about that. Chris, since you paid, we will go over it again. $5 super chat. What up, fellas? Sorry, I'm a little late. Any update on Justice Terry and Fasusi? Also, what will be the best position for Terry in your opinion? I'm assuming he's crossing his Terrys there. Is that the last?
There's just too many Terrys.
There's too many Terrys, but I'm assuming that last Terry's Michael, and he didn't mean Justice Terry, right? That last one.
I think Michael. That is. What up, fellas? What up? Yeah. Sorry you're a little late to the show. You're forgiven. Richard from Rogue literally just called the show.
Yep.
Any update on Justice Terry? Friday. Texas has a mega offer NIL-wise in front of him. They think they're definitely in it. We'll wait and see. Fasusi, scheduled for 2 o'clock, but that could be in a little bit of limbo. We shall see. OU emotional, Texas business. And what will be the best position for Michael Terry, in your opinion? I wouldn't say he's Deebo Samuel. I would say I can see him use like a guy, like the way the 49ers use a Deebo Samuel. I think he's a guy that you can get in the backfield and either as a receiver or as a back half dozen times a game. I think he's going to play some H-back in the sense of where he lines up, because he's going to be a guy that you're going to want to create matchup problems with. If you're going to put your nickel on him, he's going to be way bigger than him. And if you're going to put a linebacker on him, he's going to be able to out-athlete him. So I think that's why I think he's got a little H-back in him. But he also is a wide receiver in a lot of aspects, but he's a bigger receiver. And, Steve Sarkisian is mostly I want fast mothers at wide receiver. So I think Michael Terry projects as an H-back, jack of all trades, kind of all-purpose weapon, more so than I think of him as a wide receiver.
There you go. Chris, thank you so much for that super chat. One other one real quick. Jay with a $2 super chat. Be careful how you treat your weed guy, Catch. Hey, Jay, why do you think he took the call?
I was going to say, I answered the call.
You know what I'm saying?
My mom could have called. And I would have just sent her a voicemail.
Have y'all ever heard him answer his mom's call? Nope. You ever heard him answer a call from the wife? Maybe the wife. Maybe
like once.
The wife and Rogue Shop. Those are the two places he's answered. If a sprinkler guy was showing up to fix the sprinkler, I don't think Catch would have answered that phone.
No. Believe me. In fact, not be careful how you treat your weed guy. Your $2 super chat is, wow, you really treat your weed guy incredibly well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason.
It's like E.F. Hutton, man.
That's
Phone
it.
call rings, I listen.
It's a reason for that. I don't see any super chats right now. If you want to get us a super chat, it will go right to the top of the list. I see over 1,700 people in the Specs chat right now. What up and what up to Specs?
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
All right, Catch, you kind of, thanks to that super chat, you kind of talked about Michael Terry a little bit. I wanted you to do that for sure. Do you want to expand any more on him? I know you're a big fan of his. And with Lockett, French, and McCutcheon in at the, let's call it the true wide receiver position, and then the kind of freaky, flexy, whatever you want to call Michael Terry. It's a hell of a
Nick Townsend, for that matter.
And Nick Townsend, right? Nick Townsend at tight end. So lots of ways to catch a football for Texas moving forward. Before we maybe talk about the others, Michael Terry, you just talked about how you think he fits in. You mentioned Debo. Let me just mention a play we just saw. What about the Ryan Wingo catch against A&M? That long, drawn out, start on the left, end up on the right. That was a really cool play to me in terms of scheme. Is that the kind of stuff Terry could be involved in?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that, and he's probably built more like Wingo, but maybe not quite that explosive.
Okay.
I love Michael Terry can do anything. I think Michael Terry's best position might actually be linebacker at the next level. Like if you were to see how in snippets, how versatile and athletic he is. There's a play on his junior film where he's in coverage at linebacker, and his ability to drop his hips, flow back, and make an athletic ball play in coverage was one of the sexiest things I saw a football player do on tape in all of 2025. That was one of those where I rewatched that play like 10 times, like, damn, he did that? But then there's not a lot of that. But once you see that, you're like, oh my God, if he can cover like that at the college level, like what's his value? He's going to be an offensive player, but I think we're talking about a special football player. He's the best pure football player in the San Antonio area, which I always think is an important thing. If you're Texas, you always want to get the best player. Dallas, Houston, East Texas, San Antonio, Austin, the Golden Triangle. So I think the Michael Terry thing will get lost a little bit, especially if Fasusi does announce at 2:00. But Chad, I've said this 100 times now. I think if he were on this year's team, the moment CJ Baxter gets hurt, I think we're watching Michael Terry get snaps at running back. And I think I like him at running back more as a high school player going to college than I did Jarrett Gibson. And Jarrett Gibson was a guy that was rated as a top 5 running back in last year's recruiting class by most of the recruiting services. I was always a little cooler on Gibson than other people. And I feel bad because I feel like Jarrett Gibson's family probably watches the show. And it's like, well, do I just say what I think all of the Texas football parents want me to hear? Or do I say what I think? And I like Jarrett Gibson, but I think Michael Terry's better as a running back prospect. Now, he's big. He's listed in the database at 6'3", 215 right now. So that's an unusual size for running backs. You don't see that a ton. But I think he's a little special. And I think you're probably not asking that guy to give you 20 carries a game. I think he's a guy, because of his versatility, can do so many things. He's a guy that you're giving some snaps to. Every time you put that guy in the backfield, the defense is like, what the hell's going on? And that's not what happens with every guy on your team. Uh-oh. So-and-so's on. Like, he's a uh-oh guy. Yeah. And wherever he lines up, he's a guy that defenses have to be like, okay, now he's at receiver. Okay, now he's in the slot. Okay, now they have him in the backfield. He's one of those guys. So I'm curious to see. I don't know that Sarkisian's had a lot of guys like him. So I'm curious to see how he uses him.
That's fair. And Oscar, yes, that deep crossing route was what I was thinking about. And getting a guy like that on a guy like Scooby Williams was brilliant play calling for Texas in that moment. Real quick here, Catch. This one did come in. Our guy Money B with a $5 super chat. What's up, Money B? Where's the additional NIL money coming from? The school $20 million addition or new BMD starting to join the party? We kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, but what's your updated thought on that today?
Well, Money B, the easiest way to think about this is Texas spent a little less than $20 million this year in putting this team on the table. And that was all NIL driven. Starting next year, the university is going to be able to spend $20 million on however they want to distribute that money. So Texas already has now an NIL established deal that's not going away. And they probably feel like, oh man, at worst, we've got 10, 15 million that we can put towards this if we need to. So I think what it really means is add 20 to what they've been doing, maybe take a little bit less, right? Hey, we don't have to carry so much of the weight, which up until now might be 18, 19 million dollars. Maybe that's 13 million dollars, but it's 13 plus 20. And now you're working with a pool of 30 to 33 million after you were struggling hard to get 18 or 19. The people who are involved in NIL are like, woo!
I bet.
School's going to get to carry a huge chunk of the number. And now they can be seen as the sweetener, the cherry on top of the sundae, a little bit of the bonus, as opposed to the entire kit. What is it? Kit caboodle?
I believe it's kit and caboodle.
Kit and caboodle. I was trying to make it a threefer. Kit, cootin, caboodle.
Nah, I don't
That
think
sounds like a Brian Jonesism.
No, there's not a cootin in there. My grandmother always put cootin in her potato salad, but that's a whole nother story. Yeah, kit and caboodle, I believe.
Kit and caboodle. That obviously not an expression that I use on the regular.
No, and not a lot have since about 1958.
Yes, there's a 20-year-old right now. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right. Like Dick Clark was in his prime the last time they were really using kit and caboodle heavy. Thank you for that $5 super chat, Money B. All right, I don't see any more super chats, but Catch, we do have a weird request for a bit of good luck. If you are willing, Trace says, can you all light a good luck candle or have Catch spin in his chair 3 times to get Fasusi? Can we get a triple spin for Fasusi? Is that possible?
Not for free.
Not for free. All right, Trace, there you go. What? $20 super chat?
You just not super chat me spinning. I'm not your goddamn circus animal for free.
There it
put
is.
$1.99 in there though, and like you gotta know.
Okay, I was trying to get you 20 in a super chat, and you just said $1.99
Well,
would do it.
I was being facetious. Don't send me $1.99 and expect me to.
A 20 spot will do it.
A 20 spot now. Wee!
20 spot. Okay, 20 spot could work. Real quick, Jay Lee says, Chad, I really like Coyote Armstrong that A&M got. Me too, Jay. Me too. And they did get Coyote Armstrong today. All right.
You know how I feel about Armstrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you dig Coyote Armstrong as well. Jay with a $2 super chat asking how I feel about the class. Looks pretty darn good. I mean, obviously anything can be better, but considering the season did have a slow end, kind of fell off obviously at the end there. Pretty solid class being in the top 10. I like it, Jay. I like seeing it.
Can I give you a different perspective?
Of course.
And I think this is the way Aggies need to really think about this. If I tell you before the season, you're not going to beat Notre Dame. You're going to lose by double digits to Texas. You're going to lose at Auburn. And believe me, you're not going to like that it happened. And you're going to get blown out by South Carolina. You're going to go, if I'm an A&M fan, if you tell me that before the season, I'm going to be like, whoa, that doesn't sound good. You're telling me on the 2 biggest home games we have, with all due respect to Missouri, we're not going to beat either Notre Dame or Texas? And then Texas is going to beat us by double digits? And that South Carolina is going to blow us out? And Auburn's going to beat us right before we play Texas? So we're going to go 8-4? We're going to go 8-4, and we're going to be unranked. If I, at that point, say top 10 recruiting class, 5 stars on signing day, you'd snap my hand off for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Again,
Mike
the way
Elko deserves a pat on the back for this recruiting class for being able to create a top 10 class, which I've said top 10. The idea of a top 10 class is a bit overstated because there's a real difference between 5 and 10. There really is. But given the circumstances that he's working with, I think A&M fans should feel really good about this class. Think about this. A year ago, it was like Terry Bussey and the 12 Dwarves. This year, they got some dudes. They have more than, if nothing else, you're like, okay, not only did you get another 5-star level receiver, and not even including a guy like Kelshawn Johnson, but like in the last 48 hours, we added Lamont Rogers. So can that guy start first year offensive lineman? Yeah, he could. Cool. That wasn't what we were doing a year ago. So I think, they got a ways to go, but that is a healthy, really solid first class, especially since you just don't have the thing on the field to completely lean on. Although A&M being able to only have one loss for a big chunk of the season. God, what ended up being their record in November, Chad?
In conference? Oh, it was one. It's 1-3 overall, but 0-3 in conference.
Damn, that South Carolina, that November thing did happen, didn't it?
It did. Yep.
It may be, though, that it happened after most of the hay was in the barn. So for a lot of the season, it was like, hey, we've only got one loss. We might play for the SEC championship. I think, hey, if you're A&M and you were going to lose 4, in the end, it probably worked out best to lose them all late because if nothing else, while they were building the class, it built the appearance that the thing was riding pretty damn high as opposed to they're good, they're bad. They're good, they're bad. They're good, they're bad. Hey, we're 8-4. That's not the kind of team they were.
Yeah, no, I was excited. I don't know if maybe that didn't come across. Like I was the biggest names I was not expecting. I was wondering if a couple of the big names would peel off. I was just wondering. So to see Rodgers and Sanders, because I love the blocking and the tackling, that was big. And then today, the Rivals board, because as you know, Catch, the Rivals A&M site is so good. But they hadn't updated Kelshawn Johnson. And I'd reached out to Sukamel like, hey, man, are you hearing anything about Kelshawn Johnson? I hadn't seen that he signed. Then I went to something else and realized, oh, no, wait, he signed. Okay. So to have those three, you mentioned the flip of the wide receiver earlier. It was big. Yeah, that was big. You're right, considering what it had been. All right. I want to give Trend76 some credit here, Catch. These are two things smashed together in a super chat I could not have predicted. Trend76, $5. Did we get a replacement for Auburn today? Will Sark ever institute the I formation? Wow.
No and no.
But well done. Just the weirdest combo, but same theme, weird combo. Well done, Trent.
No, and look, you don't want him to get an Auburn replacement from the high school ranks.
No.
Portal hasn't opened up yet. So the difference between what we've seen the last couple of years is the portal previously had opened up before signing day. So there were at least some stragglers of like, hey, we're also announcing a handful of portal guys. None of that today.
Yeah.
And if you're going to get a replacement for Auburn, don't do the same thing you did a year ago. Go get someone proven.
There you go. That's what the portal's for. Trent, thank you for that super chat. It was wonderfully weird. If y'all want to throw a super chat at us, it will go right to the top of the list. Over 1,800 of you in the Specs chat. And remember, 2 o'clock, you see it on the crawl along with all these other names, but 2 o'clock, the Fasusi announcement, whatever he says or doesn't say, we'll be on live to talk about it at 2 o'clock. So check us out. Then we may sneak in a little buy or sell here before we finish up. Also, I'm going to sneak in a little AV consultation talk. This is the place that can set you up with the big screen you've always wanted, with the multiple screens you've always wanted, with better speakers like you've always wanted. It's that family movie room, get together, watch Christmas Vacation in a way you've never seen before. Clark W. Griswold, a mile high. Maybe not that big a screen, but 85 inches of Clark W. Griswold could be yours. 255-8678. They've been doing this since 1988, and they are the absolute best at it. avconsultations.com or 255-8678.
So, Chad, I know we got a big crowd. We got to get buy or sell, and then I probably need a little bit of break before I come back for Fasusi and do my third. And I've got outsiders tonight. I got to pace myself a little bit. I got to manage my minutes.
That's true. You did commit to outsiders tonight. In terms of setting that up, 8:30 is when the outsiders will start. 9 o'clock. You good for 9 o'clock straight up, Catch?
Yes, sir.
We'll get our picks out of the way and all that mess, and then we'll get to you at 9 o'clock. We'll build that audience to 9 o'clock. Catch will jump in, give us a full wrap on the day. All right, buy or sell. You want to go first or second?
I'll go second today.
All righty. Since we are talking about it at 2. Buy or sell number 1, Fasusi will pick Texas.
I feel like this is going to be wrong, but I'm going to go buy.
Okay. All right.
Here's why, okay?
Okay. All right.
Texas has its A people on this. And the number of times that Texas has pulled in the A team over the course of the last 3 years, they get their guys. They do. Now, are they 100%? No, but do they usually get their guys? Yeah, man. Like the people that made Anthony Hill happen. Remember, Anthony Hill's the guy that most profiles, like Michael Fasusi. Made a commitment, followed his heart. That's kind of where his emotions on his sleeves told him to go. Bad season. Texas looking a certain kind of way. NIL money ends up matching out and at least getting even-ish. And he ends up going to Texas. I believe in the Texas A team. And I just have a hard time believing that the A team is focusing on a couple of guys, 2 guys. They're not going to get it done. That doesn't sound like the A team. I believe in them as much as I believe in anything.
Fair enough. All right, Catch, a little game talk here. Buy or sell number 2. Texas will win and cover on Saturday. Like 2.5.
Buy, because the cover is not a huge ask.
Yeah, it's like 2.5. Win by a field goal. You've covered that. Speaking of Saturday, Catch, buy or sell number 3. If Clemson beats SMU, you think both teams are in and Bama is out?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I think that is the mystery of the playoff from a who's getting in standpoint, that game.
Yeah.
And they told us afterwards the order behind Alabama is set. They're all boxed out.
Yeah.
Mississippi boxed out. Miami boxed out. South Carolina boxed out.
Yeah, you got to be playing in one of these games to maybe get your way back in. The notion that Dabo could take Bama out is without playing them is just wild. All right, Catch, let's go birthdays real quick. Buy or sell number 4. Jay-Z is 55 today. Top 3 individual rappers of all time.
I'm going to sell.
I kind of thought you might.
Now, I know that a lot of people will be like, that's blasphemy, and he should be number 1. I'm going to sell, though. I personally never think of him that way.
Okay, real quick, give me 3 individual rappers that for you are better than Jay-Z.
Well, I've always been a Pac guy.
Okay.
I can't ignore the new generation, so I'm going to put Kendrick Lamar in there.
Okay.
And you know what? Historically, LL Cool J is more important than Jay-Z.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I saw a list today that LL Cool J listed at 45.
Damn. Of rappers all time?
Yes. And I was like, well, that's disqualifying.
40.
The Beatles are the 45th best band of all time. Like, come on. You don't have 45. To love the Beatles, but, you got to respect them.
Yeah.
And I think it's really hard because I have like personal favorites that I'm leaving out. I saw, if we were just going to talk rappers, like it's interesting. Is it like, are we talking about skill set or are we talking about legacy?
Right.
I am thinking more along the lines of like performance. Do I just think are the best rappers?
Right. Okay.
But I put LL Cool J in there, not because I think he's the best rapper, but because he might be the most important rapper of all time.
There you go.
You look at when he came along and what he did for the genre. You know, he walked so that the NWAs and everything that happens in the Tupacs and the Jay-Z's, everything that happens in the 90s. I don't know that even happens if LL Cool J isn't LL Cool J.
There you go. I'm glad I asked. And finally, Catch, I'm a big fan of hers. Buy or sell number 5. Marissa Tomei is 60 today. Prime on prime. Tomei hotter than Diane Lane.
Sell.
Going Lane.
Oh my God, sell.
I thought you might. Yeah. That's
you're putting. Now the thing is, both of those women are hot cougars. I mean, we know that about Diane Lane, but I think Marissa Tomei.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's an interesting matchup, because prime can be different for everybody here. Like each of them along, it's not like there's one moment. It's not like you'd go, well, it was just My Cousin Vinny. Tomei's awful everywhere. It's like, no. She's incredible throughout, and Diane Lane is incredible as well.
Do you know what my prime is for Marissa Tomei? What's your prime Marissa Tomei?
Prime for Marissa Tomei. I mean, My Cousin Vinny's the first thing that pops in my head, mainly because I'm seeing that skin tight bodysuit that she's wearing. So that might be mine. What about yours?
Different World.
Not Different World. I wasn't even thinking TV, but that was a good. That was a.
She was the only white girl on the show.
Yep, that was a good Marissa Tomei.
And it was before she really broke out, and she's just in that show. She's as adorable as a button.
She is. You know, even rough around the edges, the wrestler Marissa Tomei is not bad.
No, that's the beginning of hot cougar phase.
Oh man. And then Crazy Stupid Love, Marissa Tomei.
Fantastic.
There's
a lot of. The thing is, after My Cousin Vinny, you might think, well, you know, like everybody else in this world, most mortals, she peaked. Now there's a decline, and the decline's never. What she was able to do is reinvent her hotness.
So what's the best Diane Lane cougar? Is it the Tuscan Sun Diane Lane? That one? Or is it like
it's Unfaithful?
Unfaithful. Oh God. That is a good Diane Lane.
Because you're not only getting hot cougar Diane Lane,
you're getting bad girl.
I mean, I don't want to say it, but she
movie. Diane Lane in the stairwell in Unfaithful.
I mean, there's only one answer. She cheats on her husband.
Yeah, and
he ain't cool.
No, and he ain't ugly from what I recall.
But she's hot.
Who was the husband? The husband was like a
Richard Gere.
That's it. It was Gere. That's right. It was like a super handsome Richard Gere.
And the thing about that movie is he catches them, right? And he goes and knocks on her lover's door, and the guy opens the door, and he's like, come on in.
Come on. Let's talk.
It's like, dude, he's actually about to bash your brains out. Maybe, spoiler alert, maybe don't open the door. Yeah. I'm just letting you know, if Diane Lane is my wife and you cheat on her, I should be mad at her, but I'm going to want a piece of you too. Do not open the door.
You know what he should have yelled at him when he opened that door and saw Richard Gere? He should have said, hey, man, she had nowhere else to go. No, sorry. That's not what he should have done.
That is much better than I thought what you were going to do.
I am done with buy or sell.
Hey.
Thank you. Thank you. Unnecessary officer and a gentleman reference.
Never is it unnecessary.
Never unnecessary.
Never.
All right, what do you got?
You're making me want to way to go, Paula. Sorry. You're Paula in this situation, just in case the joke needed to be explained. Not to you, but somebody may have only understood that a little bit. And then it's like, well, who's Paula? Buy or sell number 1. The Lamont Rogers commitment for the Aggies is the one that you're the happiest about.
I think that's a buy. because I was really excited about the DJ Sanders thing, but that's a position where the Aggies have been all right over the last bit of time. Like defensive line, they're doing all right with, but they need bigger names on the offensive line. They need names others wanted, like more often. And Rodgers felt like one of those for me. I was pretty pumped when I heard that they flipped him. So yeah, Rodgers was the big one for me.
Buy or sell number 2. You feel like Michael Fasusi sticks with Oklahoma.
This is where you said you thought you might be wrong. I'll hope I'm wrong and say buy. There's just something about this that tells me that he's going to whatever. He's going to put on the OU hat, or he's going to like, I was just looking at the social media stuff today. Like that dude has been just heavy OU lean to turn to Texas at the end. Boy, if he goes all business at the end, to your analogy earlier, I'll be impressed. It's what I hope he does, but I'm going to say I'll buy it. Say he sticks with OU.
Buy or sell number 3, Justice Terry. Such a big need for the Longhorns. So much money they're willing to give. You think they steal him away from Georgia?
Oh, man. Could I possibly predict Texas to win this game this weekend and maybe predict him to get Terry? It'd be a bad Bulldog weekend if it happened. I feel like from the way the story's played out, this dude is about business. I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy that Sark ends up with Justice Terry, and it'll be a hell of a story and it'll be a hell of a reality moment for Kirby Smart.
Buy or sell number 4, the sexiest that Diane Lane has ever looked in a movie is the movie Six Pack. But you can't say that out loud because you're afraid you'll go to jail if you make that confession.
I knew you were going six pack. I could feel that come. Love will turn you around. I knew that's where you were headed. I do love me some six pack. I will not say that is the greatest Diane Lane. There has to be. I am a Tuscan Sun Diane Lane guy. That's my Diane Lane. If we're gonna dial.
Chad, it's a trap. You know why it's a trap?
Because she's 13 or 14 at the time.
Yes, Chad, I tried to trap you.
You tried to. I know. I will not fall into that trap. Tuscan Sun. Under the Tuscan Sun. That's where I'm going. How dare you?
Because you know, in that movie, she's like trying to seduce a grown man.
Right. The story of that movie is the beautiful Aaron Gray of Buck Rogers fame that is the love interest of a prime Kenny Rogers. There may never have been a sexier in the bar couple than those two in Six Pack.
You know what my favorite part of that movie is? And sorry, kids, this one came out over 40 years ago. You're going to have to forgive the old men here. Yeah. There's a scene in the movie where Kenny Rogers is doing sit-ups.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, okay, I've been doing sit-ups for like 5 minutes, and the cute little boy just looks at him and goes, "You're fat."
Well, you remember what actor that goes on to some other great things? Got that stuff. It may have been the one you're talking about. Got to swear a lot in that movie.
It wasn't him. It wasn't Anthony Michael Hall.
So it's a different one, right? But Anthony Michael Hall.
Boy, the cute, like little blonde boy,
the little one. I got you. Yeah. Dude, Anthony Michael Hall's in there. Six Pack, kids. If you haven't watched it,
it's an all timer.
Go now.
Forget about Michael Fasusi.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know about that. Don't forget, we're going to be on at 2:00 with Michael Fasusi. All right, did you have one more, or was that it?
No, that was number 4. And finally, buy or sell number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in your family has seen the movie Wicked, and they give it 2 thumbs up.
That is a buy. I believe my daughter would be that way because she's been singing songs from that thing ever since she saw it. I think she would definitely be in the 2 thumbs up category. I saw it. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was as good as she did, though. She loved it. So, yeah, okay. 2 thumbs up from my daughter.
There's speculation that might win Best Picture at the Oscars.
And by the way, this is a non-old person thing to say, but I'm an old person that's about to say it. I just rewatched The Wizard of Oz, Catch. Part 2 has not come out yet, but Wicked is leagues better as a movie than The Wizard of Oz. I mean, it's amazing they'd be in the same discussion. Rewatching The Wizard of Oz from 1939, doesn't quite hold up like you'd think. Just my opinion. Just one old man's opinion. Wicked is way better than The Wizard of Oz. This just in.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. So let's we are going to hit the exit of this because Catch needs to catch his breath. Let me just remind you real quick, TCH Social Austin for the watch party, $1 draft, $2 jellyfish. Those specials start an hour before, so they start at 2. We crank up the game on this screen at 3. There's your bad beat bacon. Well, not yours. It's a picture of other bad beat bacon. Yours is waiting on you this Saturday. TCH Social Austin, come see us. We're going to be back at 2, right at 2, as Mr. Fasusi is going to make some sort of announcement, or maybe announce that he won't make an announcement because, the kids have all the power. But around 2, we're going to come back on and get it done. Catch, enjoy your brief rest. I will see you back at 2 o'clock. Thank you to everybody. 1,800 of you in the Specs chat as we close up. All 1,800 of you. Like on your way out. Subscribe on your way out if you haven't. Then come see us at 2 o'clock. This is Orange Bloods Live. It's National Signing.